So first of all, incremental greetings.
Oh, yeah, incremental greetings.
Yeah, that's how I start the conversations. Nice.
Exactly.
Good to have you here, Winston, once again. Um,
Thank you.
as you are the incremental host. The incremental guest.
I'm
Uh,
the incremental guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm sometimes the host if we're doing this on my channel, but
oh
yeah,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
doing this here.
yeah. Nice. So today we wanted.
Now, we're changing styles actually on Discord, and I'm like walking outside, so expect some noises.
Let's see. From now, I still heard nothing. Nothing. So just for context, if you don't see
Mm,
the face of Winston, it's because he's using the phone while he's walking outside.
yep, yeah, in the
Nice.
mountains.
In the mountains,
So yeah,
in
yeah,
southern
I'm living
China.
like a hermit now. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So we
Yeah.
were discussing. Well, we mentioned recently about Supermemo and what we discussed. Can you refresh my memory?
Oh, we were something like moving on from Supermemo. So yeah, um, it's like how we use Supermemo changes from year to year.
Hmm?
We just incrementally I don't know, change our learn style with Supermemo and move on to other tools. And in my case, developing more tools and scripts. Yeah, something like beyond Supermemo. That's
Beyond
our
Supermemo. Is there a life after
title.
Super?
Yeah.
If there is life after Supermemo,
Oh my God. Like incarnation. Like Supermemo's incarnation into other apps. Oh my God, that sounds magical.
yeah,
Spiritual.
it's like poetical way to describe it. So now I'm going to cheat a little because now I have the text in front of me because
Hmm.
I don't remember the details basically. That
Yeah.
mm, you said the fallacy between quotes that you are not abandoning Supermemo because of the sunk cost. That if you want to,
Yeah.
yeah, can you explain this?
Well, I think okay, in this case, Supermemo isn't exactly something that's damaging me. So there is no reason to abandon it. It's just there are better alternatives. And I don't think we should just, I don't know, meet better alternatives and just abruptly leave the old one. And I mean, we're gonna have to spend time uh with the new one, right? We already spent time with the old one just because the new one is better. Or sometimes it could just appears to be better, you know.
I
It's
wish you
kind
to
of like
keep in
dumping
good
your
health.
partner and just look for another one. And sometimes the other one is maybe just seems better. And you know, you're gonna have to invest something emotionally, I suppose. And in Supermom's case, you're gonna invest more time building a new memory base, not knowledge base rather. So yeah.
One of the factors is that it's not trivial to move from tool to tool because you cannot export all of the knowledge base you already have in the
Exactly.
in the other tool.
Exactly. Supermom is just way too complex to wait. You're gonna complex? Complex? Too complex?
It
I
was to me
remember you
okay.
like saying that multiple times in that video. So I kind of got conscious about that.
Oh, well, I didn't get the pan, but I was
I
recalling
mean,
that.
God.
Oh, he's struggling in that word. Yeah, no worries. Both are correct.
I mean, actually I find it so interesting. I mean that's a video about Supermemo, and you just speak so much about English. That's just so interesting.
Yeah, it was the reaction
Hmm.
video from Foul's video.
I mean, it's your style.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it is your style. So yeah, I was saying Supermemo is too complicated, too complicated
Like the
for
music, it's
the
complicated.
I don't know
Yeah.
to export stuff. It's not like in Anki you just have cards and in Obsidian you just have markdown files. So there's that.
Yeah, but I think it could be complicated to use it, but at the end of the day, everything is text and images and sound files. So it's not something that
Um,
is a structure
well, also templates.
and
I
templates.
mean,
Yeah.
if you have image occlusion, it's gonna be. I mean, actually, for you in your case, I don't think it's too complicated. You just need to get um,
Yeah.
you know, you need to get somehow get uh the the repetition data out there. You know, to I don't know, maybe fit it in the FSRS algorithm. In your case, it might be easy, but for me, I have the like the image, right? You know, the image, and sometimes it's without a template. So yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
But I think the main point, to go back a little, is that you still keep using Supermemo at some degree because of the exporting your collection is impeding you to do it. In the sense that if you had another
Yeah,
software,
right.
regardless of that software was, that had a two-click experience for importing your Superman collection, perhaps you will have moved already.
Perhaps, perhaps. I mean, to be honest, for our learning software, I think it's pretty important to have a decent export. I mean, it's hard to imagine you're gonna use something for the rest of your life. It's possible, but I doubt it to be the case for most people. I mean, most Supermemo users eventually move on. That's just yeah, that's just life. Maybe Anki users too, but I don't think there's any research on it. So
I, even though
yeah.
I have one case very close to me. So my father, back in the
Mhm.
day, he was using Photoshop, and he had one original copy of Photoshop in compact disc. I think I don't even remember the
Mm.
name, but it was from the 1995. And in 2021,
Um,
24, can you guess the version he's using of Photoshop?
maybe CS something. I don't know.
No, he's using the same
Mm.
version from 1995.
No, yeah. I mean, it's called CS something. CS1, CS2. I
No,
don't know.
no,
I'm not
this,
sure.
no, no, this,
CS4.
no, no. This predates this naming convention.
Oh, predates the CS one. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's
I
from
mean,
the 95.
those yeah, those version numbers are so confusing.
You were
I'm
not even,
using
yeah,
PS a lot, anyways.
you were not even born yet. But
I
that's
weren't
the,
even born.
yeah. The fact is that he has been using the same tool, and in this case, the same version of the tool, because the tool has been updated for more than 30 years straight. He hasn't changed the tool
Mm.
because for him works. He knows where to look at, where the places are in the menus. So why change if it works for him? And also keep in mind he's close to 70 years old now.
Mm.
It will be like the opposite,
Yeah,
the counter example.
interesting.
But yes, you said it's about the method,
Counter example. Hmm.
the
Yeah,
methodology. It's not about the tool.
yeah. That's an interesting point actually, because I could very well imagine if SuperMemo just fit every single one of my needs, I probably wouldn't move on. Um, to be honest, I can't exactly find what SuperMemo doesn't fit my needs for now because for now everything I want to achieve with SuperMemo, I'm able to achieve it, whether it's native or with scripts or just something innovative, you know, with those procedural practices and yeah, yeah, just yeah, like you said, like a perfect copy of my data to another software and all the functions I would need on the top of my head. Neural learning is kind of important to me.
Hmm.
Yeah. But
But
but the case for Supermemo is kind of different for Photoshop. I just want to say because Photoshop is essentially a tool. You don't exactly use it as a database,
yeah,
right? And Supermemo, to be honest, the importance of like a continued knowledge base is like essential. You know, it's more important than how the tool works. It's important. It's like essential because it's your second brain. It's every data you collected, and yeah, it's just the
yeah,
data is more important
yeah.
rather than the tool. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Exactly. So are the files that you care the most, not the tool per se. So it's the information you have
Mm,
been gathering. So if you had the same tool
mm,
but with an empty collection, that will be a massive loss.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's why you back up your collection, especially in Supermemo. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Always do backups, everyone.
But even though I have to argue about my needs, we could say, "Oh, I want to do
Hmm.
video or I don't know, LaTeX or math and so on." Yes, I can do it in Supermemo, but it's very crude. It's not a good experience for me. So it's not just if it fits or not my
Hmm.
needs. It's the in what quality is covering this need.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you think?
yeah. It, yeah, I'm curious. How do you do latex
I don't.
stuff
That's
with
it.
Anki?
It's
You
rule of
don't.
oh, I used
Oh.
Anki. I used Anki, yes, back in the day. But since I use Supermemo, I have been using like I will do it later. You know what? I still haven't. I haven't find any workflow that it's good enough. So I will do other
All
stuff.
right.
So like putting, I was postponing it as much as I could, right? Or I wanted to. But I
Mm,
reached a point that
mm,
now it's time. So I did all of the
mm,
conceptual work and so on. And perhaps I will
mm,
try other tools. One of the
mm.
tools that I want to try is RemNode. That I can have LaTeX,
Node. Yeah.
I can have LaTeX and flashcards at the same time. Because yes, I know Anki.
Uh-huh.
I have used it for 15 years, but it's just flashcards, and I cannot work with just flashcards. I need the incrementalism, the nodes, the topics to create the constellation and stuff like this.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
RAM node.
yeah,
I
that's
think like there are Supermemo users who move on to RAM node. James definitely, but
yeah.
yeah, there is also like a Chinese friend of mine who wrote a ton of script like me for Supermemo, but eventually he moved on
Hmm.
to RAM node. So yeah, I suppose RAM node is now a better choice to for new users at least.
Yeah. So and for me it's good enough. So if I only use RemNode
Mhm.
for formal sciences, math and logic, graph theory, all of this. For, for me, it's enough
Uh-huh.
in the sense that if all of these domains are in the same place, for me, it's good enough. So if I want to search,
Okay.
I will only require to search on RemNode. It's not. Yeah, I have the topics
Yeah.
in Supermemo. I have the flashcards in Anki. I have the yeah, and how I search with multiple apps. It will become cumbersome.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
although yeah, it could be a little bit um I don't I was thinking if you're like doing incremental reading in Supermemo and you just thinking about something computer science related, does that mean you have to just switch software? A little bit cumbersome to me, but
I have a rule of thumb here. If it's conceptual, so
Mm.
or in the sense that I don't require LaTeX or any tool that Supermemo doesn't have, I will still use
Oh,
Supermemo, and I have a
okay.
similar workflow. So I use language learning in Anki. That doesn't mean that with my incremental reading, I came across a word or I don't know a name of a method or whatever, and I create a flashcard. Yes, this flashcard will be inside my. It could be defined that is language learning. I want to memorize this word in English,
Uh-huh.
but I leave it in Supermemo because I came across this through
Oh,
incremental reading.
oh yeah, that yeah, I can imagine that
Hmm.
simplifies things a lot.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
usually yes, usually it's only English. There are very infrequent words or name of people, theories,
Mm.
very domain specific vocabulary. So I don't mind if I don't have this
Hmm.
with my
Okay.
verbs and everything else in Anki, because what is important first is that what's in my brain, and then is how do I
Mm.
access to this information. Usually, I don't search for this information directly, and it's not the same that oh how do you say complex or complex than the name of this particle in physics or whatever.
Mm.
So for me, it's enough. Even if it's a split into apps, since there's no use
Mm.
case for me that will require to search across everything. For me, it's enough. It serves it serves my
Yeah.
purpose. I don't have any con that is limiting any flow for me. Yeah, that was the analogy, by the way.
Mm.
The original question was math, right?
Yeah, math.
Yeah.
Math. Well, for me, I just wrote a script because I kind of need to do incremental reading for math. I need to I need to like import a lot of Wikipedia articles, or rather do like incremental web browsing because
Hmm.
I often edit Wikipedia and it's kind of well because math concepts you especially the elementary concepts I think it gets edited a lot, most of them. So I use incremental web browsing
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
from my experience, yeah, you're saying?
oh yeah, that's a big difference. Instead of using a textbook,
Yeah.
that it will be the same, always the same. Yeah, perhaps eventually there will be a new release, a new version, edition of the same textbook. But once you have the textbook, it's unmutable, it stays the same, unlike Wikipedia pages, that they can be frequently
Yeah,
updated and so on.
and I guess we could say like textbooks are not incremental
Yeah.
in the sense that it's not like they just have a little change and they publish a new version immediately and
Hmm.
a tons of high schools and just high school universities just gonna buy a new one that's gonna be really economically inefficient. But in case of Wikipedia, like, a ton of people just can collaborate and across like very little concepts. A new section there, a slight rewarding there. I mean, yeah, I kind of, I really starting to like Wikipedia. Like a few months ago, I, I started editing quite frequently. So I began to appreciate like the system
Hmm.
for learning a lot of stuff, and I especially began to to like formal to learn formal sciences, because people added this, not just someone sitting in the ivory tower. And if if a math article in Wikipedia is not suitable for beginners, someone will eventually notice that and bring that out, bring that point out, and
Hmm.
people could add a tag, and people will start to simplify it to I don't know, add more links.
So,
Yeah, and also having links is very useful for formal sciences because you kind of need basis. You kind of need very good basis. And with links, it's very easy. You just need to you just click that link to have a little revision, to have a little review. Instead of like in textbooks, you need to go back to previous sections and even search stuff.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
searching isn't
the
exact difficult, but
textbook.
still.
Textbooks is an outdated medium that is linear
Hmm.
instead of just
Right,
Wikipedia.
exactly.
And also, something you mentioned with formal sciences is that you have knowledge that is required for other knowledge. So before you go to whatever, I don't know, graph theory, you need to know this thing and this other thing, like the prior knowledge required.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Do you have all of those links that, hey, in case you came across this page and you have this hole in knowledge, you can quickly have it and so on. That other, let's say, if I read about, I don't know, history, okay, I have no clue about history of Mongolia from the 19th century, but I don't need previous knowledge from this period or this region to understand the text. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, but
Hmm.
in history, sometimes it kind of depends on your needs, you know. If you want to like thoroughly understand the culture, maybe you do need like a lot of connections, sort of. I mean, if you're like if you're studying how the Soviet Union, okay, let's say you're studying Soviet Union history, just the entire almost 100 years or so history. You need to sort of study things that's seemingly irrelevant. Maybe how the Slavic culture um, progresses throughout history. All the little concepts
Hmm.
that sort of define how Slav people are like, and the economic events, the I don't know, just the natural some natural events could be affecting like the weather, the geography, the famines. Just to be honest, social sciences. I mean, a good example would probably be language learning. If you you just need to understand. You don't need grammar to understand. That's like the biggest mistake, to be honest. You really don't need grammar to understand stuff. You can just understand stuff if you like if you're learning sentence to sentence, you can just know the meaning of the sentence first, then read it, and through enough sentence learning, you can guess like which part of the word does what. And you can like guess stuff based on previous knowledge, and you can keep confirming your guess with more data. It's kind of like it's actually very much like machine learning, to be honest. Um, Machine learning is literally just guessing and correcting, not exactly guessing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, yeah, I suppose a more correct, a more exact word could be deducting. I don't know, like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. So,
Deducting further data and correct, just getting feedbacks. Yeah, I suppose language learning is a very good example because you don't need to learn physics vocabularies to understand, I don't know, music vocabularies. Those are in different fields, and it's less connected in a way, um, or rather less hierarchical. Like in formal sciences, you need the bottom of the pyramid to understand the top. And formal science isn't exactly like a pyramid because you don't get less knowledge when you're more to the top. Maybe it's more like a building and with with like ridiculous structures at some level. And yeah, it's kind of a building that defies gravity, a building you see in Minecraft, perhaps.
Hmm? Do you think that this makes a difference in Supermemo? Well, should I say incremental reading? Because Supermemo is the tool. Um,
Yeah.
about what you described about formal sciences, history, and language.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. Because I no longer use spaced repetition. I no longer use flashcards for memory learning. Actually, I have been for a really long time. It's now just really just passive listening and a lot and finding the content I feel a connection to. Maybe I like it. Maybe I find it funny. Maybe I find it deep, meaningful, whatever. Um, but but for now, when it's field when it's fields for like language learning, it's sort of distinct, have distinct subfields.
Hmm?
I would sort of not use flashcard, sort of, because in the case of language learning, language is very unique. I cannot exactly think of a very good area. Okay, maybe let's say philosophy. Okay, maybe let's say someone wants to learn about Stoicism, Stoic philosophy, or Buddhist philosophy, or Taoist philosophy. I mean, those are areas. I suppose you can use flashcards to memorize stuff, but it's sort of more depending on the understanding and the practice in real life. So I wouldn't use flashcards for them either because remembering the fact isn't useful at all if you cannot understand those concepts deeply. Um,
You need the
I don't know.
experience.
Maybe I
Yeah.
can give a yeah, maybe I can give an example. Like in Stoic philosophy, there's like the very famous one, the dichotomy of control. You need to figure out what things you can control and what things you cannot. I mean, you can try to memorize and go, okay, that's the dichotomy of control. But if you just memorize that's the definition of dichotomy of control, you're like doing yourself no good. Like literally, you wouldn't understand more of it. You still don't know what to control and what not to control. You know, you sort of need more thinking. You sort of need more writing down your thoughts and keep revising your thoughts because what we think about what we can control and what we cannot control can change. And it could get influenced by other people. Maybe one day you thought your emotions are not in the hands of your control, and another day you think, oh, wait a second, maybe I think about it in this way. They do. So yeah, I'm kind of talking too much at
Yeah.
this point, but
No worries. I'm taking
yeah,
we could say notes, bullet points. You will see these in the video
yeah,
later on. Um, should I
yeah,
say
yeah.
what you mentioned? What you mentioned in the philosophy could be the difference between knowing something and just being able to recall something. Because being able to recall
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
definition of the dichotomy doesn't mean I know that. I'm able to recall the name or the definition. That's it.
Yeah, or rather understand something deeply, at least in the fields that you need to understand stuff deeply, or making okay, maybe I should define understanding stuff deeply as you're able to make connections to other stuff, accurate connections, or good analogies, like like you can try to memorize like this song's chords. You know a song can have like chords. You can try to memorize that. But if you just memorize the chords, you might not be able to recognize like the other song have exactly the exactly same chord, the exact same chords, or I don't know, the chords that are changed a little. Maybe several chords are similar. I don't know, just just those. Maybe it's the knowledge not exactly sinking in, sort of the depth of language, the depth of knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, going back a little, the conversation, you said
Mm.
that with not just philosophy, but most of what you do in Supermemo, you no longer do flashcards.
Yeah. Yeah. Most is accurate. Yeah.
Did you notice any drop in forgetting or I don't know in performance?
Actually, no. Actually, for me, like using Supermemo isn't exactly for remember stuff. It's for like remember stuff quicker. Originally, actually, really, yeah, I kind of find it odd to say like this, but I used to care very much about efficiency and I wanted to remember the important stuff as quickly as I can. So, um, what I used to do to memorize stuff is either thinking like deeply or just I don't know, shoving them to a memory palace. I stopped doing memory palace for a very long time, but thinking deeply is not exactly efficient, but I could say it has the most efficacy. You can make most use out of the depth of the knowledge rather than the quantity of the knowledge. You can have a lot of knowledge, but you don't know how to use them or I don't know, to make your life more pleasant, to
Yeah, here the
yeah, to draw connections yourself.
the key factor here is the applicability of that knowledge
Yeah.
because you could have.
Yeah. What I find is, yeah.
Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what I find is, if the depth of the knowledge is enough, you would be able to apply them more easily. And I could argue it would bring you more pleasure. And I don't know. I suppose it varies from person to person, but I could say I'm someone who very much cares about the depth of the knowledge. Whether or not I can think about them in a okay, I should just say making connections. I'm someone who cares about I learned something, I'm able to connect it to something I already knew, or rather just, I don't know, appreciate that this is a complete new area and keep learning stuff until I can make connections. I'm someone who appreciate the connectiveness of knowledge. Yeah.
That's why in Supermemo you do a lot of links, linking
Yes,
elements
the
and like that.
writing collection, exactly.
Yeah. So we could say that you use Supermemo with the least amount of, let's say, predefined. No, let me think this. So usually, a Supermemo is designed with certain workflow. You import
Yeah.
articles, you make extracts, then you do the consolations and all of this.
Mm.
And I think with time, your flow has been changing, and now it's like more distant from this flow, the expected flow.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
that's why, among other things, there are many features that no longer are useful, like make consolations, making the items, and all of those features, like for the leeches, the retention, all of this. Yeah. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Sorry about sorry about the background noise.
No, I'm not hearing anything.
Are you not hearing
I think
everything?
Discord does a pretty good job.
Oh wow! Oh, no,
Yeah.
no ways. But I will have to cut this in the video
Yeah,
because
Discord does like really, really
it's
good
really
noise
good.
canceling,
Wow!
I think.
Because yeah, someone ring the bell and my dog gets crazy. Yeah, my microphone.
Oh, I'm not literally hearing anything.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm impressed because the microphone picks up everything, and then I have to edit this out.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So haven't you
Uh,
thought? So how you describe your flow? Don't you think it's more similar to just personal knowledge management?
my flow is
Yeah. What you do with your
more writing based, I suppose.
hmm?
But okay, I should with my what?
Yeah, yeah. That how you describe that you no longer do you don't rely on flashcards as much as before. You focus more on linking and writing. Don't you think that this is closer to personal knowledge management instead of incremental reading?
Well, I don't think no one. I honestly don't think anyone defines personal knowledge management just zettelkasten, just linking and writing notes.
How?
That will be a very very narrow definition. I really don't think anyone does. I don't know why you get
Okay,
a kind of
let's.
stereotypical view.
Okay, can you define personal knowledge management from your perspective?
Well, it's literally personal knowledge management. How whatever however you should however you want to manage it. It is personal knowledge management. I'm not exactly a gatekeeping guy, you know. If you think it's personal knowledge management, it is personal. Okay, KPM. Okay, I'm not saying that long word string.
Yeah, yeah. The I mean, Obsidian, Logsec.
PKM. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That by
I'm
the
not
way.
defining this. I mean,
Yeah. But by the
it's
way,
boring. It's boring to define stuff.
okay. Let's not define. Let's go with the applicability, not the
Yeah.
definitions. So
Yeah.
let me reformulate the question because I was leading to someplace. Don't you think that now with your current flow, it's easier to move to another tool than if you were using the
No,
stereotypical Supermemo flow?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I think I still rely a lot on the knowledge tree, the linking, the neural review,
Hmm.
and so on. I doubt it's gonna be easy to transfer, but it is possible. If I work really hard to think about how to transfer, it is possible that, but that's just not gonna be worth it. That means I'm gonna spend a really long time examine almost every element of my writing collection to make sure nothing is lost. And I'll need to learn a new software. It's not worth it,
Okay.
really.
If you ask me, I think it's harder, not easier, because especially what you do is what is not able to be exported in Supermemo. So
Yeah.
the other way around, from people who only do items and they don't care about incremental reading at all, it's actually a lot easier to move from Supermemo because all of these can be exported. The flashcards, the repetitions, the media files, this is very easily imported. But the links, the relationships in the knowledge tree, and all of this, that will be the hard part for getting outside of the app.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my case.
If you if you go back in time, so but with the knowledge you have today, do you will you pick Super Memo again, or you will do something else?
If I go back in time and I have to write that script again, I'm not writing that script again.
Yeah.
That just took way too much time of my life. I am not writing that script again. There is just too much like trial and error and testing. And I when I finally get everything right, I couldn't remember how I got those right. I mean I just know I got those right and I have it in the code and I upload the code to GitHub and I use the code. End of the story. I am not writing that script again.
Wow. S-
So yeah, if I were to start again and without without that script, yeah, I'm not using Super Memo.
I was leading there. So for you, the vanilla Super Memo is not usable. You, it's a little breaker for you.
Nope. Hmm.
Okay. So what you rely on is your script with Supermemo, not the Supermemo itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So what will you do instead if you don't write your own script?
I'll probably find open source software 4元 RAM nodes. Wait, if I go back in time, RAM node wouldn't have all the incremental writing thing, incremental reading thing, and
That is true.
maybe Obsidian or 4元.
Okay. But I think,
Yeah, but I don't think that's says a lot about me or those softwares. I normally wouldn't do those if thing.
yeah, they're limited. I know, I know.
Yeah.
I think we are in polar opposites in this aspect because my goal is what you already do, and I don't do it. I keep procrastinating. That hey, I want to focus on writing. That was my goal last year. You remember that I have my yearly milestones of Supermemo? That now it's about to the fourth year.
Yeah.
I checked the last year,
Yeah.
and I mentioned this that hey, I want to focus on writing. So it's been an entire year, and I did almost close to nothing. No writing. It's my God,
Okay.
my God. I want to write, but what happens? That for me it's such a deal breaker in Supermemo. I don't want to do it in Supermemo. I want to do it elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually made a lot of sense. I suppose I started okay, so I remember like back in the end of 2021, I started to try to use Obsidian for writing, but I end up back in Supermemo, and I remember I did spend some time like incrementally get my writings back in Supermemo. It actually took about a year, so yeah, that's some
Yeah.
incrementalism there, and yeah, so that's like when I actually feel it's not easy to switch to software from software because you kind of keep the habit of what you get from the previous software. So if I'm using Obsidian, my mind is more like a folder structure. I have so my knowledge tree isn't exactly a knowledge tree because you cannot have like one markdown file under another markdown file. If it's the markdown file, it has to be under a folder. And if you want to do markdown file under another markdown file, you kind of have to do sort of a linking thing. So you have one markdown file linked to another. Those kind of things are sort of the deal breaker for me because I couldn't do this. I couldn't like have one reading collection and in another collection I completely think in a different way. It and all the shortcuts are different. How I move between the elements, how I move within the text is different. I mean, everything is just so different. I tried it for a while and I don't think my brain can comprehend this. It's just too much too much fractions yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very good point. The habit. It's not
Friction.
yeah. It's not
Friction,
yeah.
sorry.
Friction. Yeah. That's what I my brain
Yeah.
thought. By the way, the friction. Um,
Yeah. Friction.
it's a common word. If you talk about super memo, eventually you will mention friction. It's inevitable. Um, what I was about to say.
I mean,
Yeah, something you mentioned about.
mental friction. I mean,
Yeah, for instance, my goal with super memo is that every time I reduce the friction. So my goal is not to be
hmm
to have an optimal recall long term or optimal I don't know performance. Is to have the maximum pleasure. And for this, one of the greatest components of the pleasure is the friction. Has to be as low as possible. So if I do just a very mundane use of Supermemo with plain text, no templates at all, for me this works best, based on experience. And now, so what you said about this is the habit. Then, so across time, in 4 years, yes, we could say to simplify that I have the same habit, how it works in Supermemo, the knowledge tree, all of this. Then I have been simplifying it.
Mm.
We could say that I have been fine tuning the like an abstraction of my habit to the most simple bits. I don't know how to describe it. And what happens is that your mind gets used to, your brain gets used to like the plasticity and all of this. So the most fine-tuned your habit is, the harder would be to tolerate new habits. And for instance, you could have some different software. It looks different, but just the cosmetics or the key bindings are different. It will take you a while. That's not a big deal. But it's the very high level of thinking. I don't know exactly how to convey this idea. Like what you said, that hey, I'm not thinking in folders. I'm thinking as in knowledge tree in hierarchy and all of this. I think once you get used to this, that is very deeply, there's no I know there's no alternative. So whatever you change, it will be whatever you will do, it will be a loss.
Um, well, yeah, I think I get what you mean here.
Hmm.
It's it's like it's like the friction. It's like switching software cause frictions, right? And those frictions, uh, sure, one can overcome that, but during the overcoming of the frictions, the time is lost, and you may be losing some creativity due to like the constant friction, right? Can I understand as that?
Yeah, more or less in this. In yeah, we're in the same page. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, frictions.
It's an emphasis I have been doing in the last year, more or less, in across all my videos featuring Supermemo. It's okay. This is how it's meant to be, but it will be prone to friction. That's how I suggest to do it, or don't do it at all. That's
Mm.
my best suggestion. Is I'm letting you know that's a feature. Please don't use it. Use Anki instead for this or whatever.
Yeah, but I think this friction thing, it doesn't necessarily all depend on the tools.
Ah,
I
excellent
think
point.
it could
Yeah.
depend on yourself, you know. If you think there's a friction, there is a friction. I mean, in some cases, it's actually like that. The what I said about Obsidian, like folders and files, well, those are like actual differences, but in some cases those are just the frictions are just perceptions, like okay, so if you think you're gonna make every single text perfect, like you're gonna have the exact same structure, the exact same grammar, the full stops, the just everything, the references, you're gonna have perfect, and that's the mental friction. That's like the friction you're creating for yourself. That's not tools, you know. Um, so I think it's kind of important to distinguish that too, because yeah, that's something you have to, I suppose. I just think, um, so what I've been through is when I encountered those problems, I for a while I sort of blame, oh my God, software is giving me too much options. It's killing me. But after a while I stopped thinking those options. I just sort of let my instinct do the choice. So whether it's full stop, whether it's without full stop, however I wanna format the references, I'm just gonna go like instinctly with my instinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an excellent.
Um,
It's an excellent point.
so
I sorry.
yeah.
It's an excellent point what you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
because the same feature presented the same way can be a friction for person A, but not for person B. So people react different for the same thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a very valid point. Um, what happens with we could say that Supermemo is a lot easier to trigger anything in your flow, your personality, whatever, and you may have more friction points than usual. But yeah, those friction points are in the person, the user, not in the software. And that this changed across time as well. So if I backtrack 3 years ago and today, something that for me was not a friction point today is a friction point because before it was perhaps let's simplify what's called ignorant about some aspect. Now I know, hey, I can do this with this app. Hey, I can do that with this other software, and a lot easier. And now I see that in Supermemo is very crude. So now that I have more information than before, now is a friction point because knowing what I don't gain, what I'm sacrificing, let's say, it's creating friction. And before, since I didn't have this knowledge, there will be no way that I could create this friction. That hey, that I'm losing this, I'm sacrificing all of this
Yeah.
because I'm using a 36-year-old tool.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why it's kind of similar to the Stoic idea of dichotomy of control, what you can control, what you cannot. I suppose those mental frictions are something what you can control.
Yeah, that's a good golden nugget right there. What, at least in Supermemo, what is in your control to reduce the friction? You can use hotkey scripts or rely on some
Mhm.
conventions so you don't have to change templates that often and so on. It's on your control.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
there are many more that it's not under your control. And you either tolerate them or you move on. You tolerate the friction or you move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, complaining about super memo isn't exactly doing anything useful. Writing a script is.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you
Oh
go,
well, either you write a script or you like you do a bunch of tutorial videos.
yeah, or you report this, Wozniak will acknowledge, oh yeah, it's a bug, I confirm it, and it's not going to be fixed. So continue with your friction. Even though there are some exceptions,
Oh my God.
I don't know,
Yeah.
perhaps I reported, to say something, 50 bugs, and 3 or 4 have been fixed in Supermemo 19. So it's non-zero. At least I can tell you that. But it's marginal. It's not something that will justify reporting bugs. Yeah. But it's such a good point. Instead of complaining, just do the script and solve it. If you're not willing to learn how to do it,
Yeah.
what is best is to move. It's the best decision you can make to move on.
Yeah. Move on, write a new SM, use another software. I mean, those are within our control.
Yeah. How's the name of this dichotomy? I'm
Well,
not.
just dichotomy of control.
I'll control. Okay. Guess the next
Yeah.
Wikipedia
That's
page I'm going to import.
yeah, I don't think Stoicism? I mean, I don't think dichotomy has of control
Ah,
has a
well,
Wikipedia
well,
page. I'm
but
not
well,
sure.
but at least I will Google. I will find something, an article or whatever, that goes in this aspect.
Sure.
I already have
Sure.
something.
I mean, can I mean you said you want to write something. I mean, consider just start writing,
Yeah.
you can literally just write. You can literally just write what you want to control and what you think you cannot control. You can sort of make a mental distinguishing distinguish um
I think you gave me my starting point.
distinguishing. Yeah. Yeah.
You just give me my starting point.
Stoic style writings.
Dichotomy of control. Yeah, because let's say that I suffered. I have to endure the friction for 4 years. You have to be stoic. If you don't have a stoic mind, you will suffer from misery if you use Supermemo. It's borderline
Yeah.
joke, by the way. It's there's part that is not a joke. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
be stoic. Be stoic about Supermemo. Be stoic about learning about life.
Yeah.
I
Even though
think being stoic is healthy.
I think so. Yeah. Um,
Mm.
more or less to wrap up. At least my
Mm-hmm.
my message here
Sure.
is that even if what they use Supermemo now is a lot less than before, so there are some use cases that I no longer use Supermemo for, and I do some slight sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
like the neural review because I don't do concepts as detailed as before. At the end of the day, for me, it's more pleasurable. So every day when I do my
Mm.
incremental reading session, is oh wow, I got most of what I wanted. Because
Mm.
how I do measure is that by the retention rate, the forgetting index, or the I don't know the memorize per day, or the speed metric, is my subjective feeling that oh wow, I feel super good. Wow, look at this! I discovered this. I made the realization of those two unrelated concepts today, or I learned this and that, or stuff like this. For me, this has no value, and now this has increased a lot in Supermemo, even though I use it less time overall than before.
Mm.
Beyond Supermemo,
Yeah. Yeah.
Supermemo,
Sorry if I
yeah.
didn't have any thoughts on that.
Oh no, no worries, no worries. Beyond Super, it's just a tool. It's not what's it called. It's not a destination. It's a mean to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even though
Yeah.
I could,
Uh,
I could, you could say that I'm glorifying Super Memo in my videos, kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that it's the best thing. And by the way, now at the recording, blah blah blah. Blah. Let me restart. At the at the recording of this video that you're watching now, I already recorded another video earlier today, and you will see what I will drop the link there. You will see my thoughts. I'm not going to repeat them here, but you will be surprised
Mm-hmm.
that hey, I'm not here to stay forever. Let's leave it at that. I don't want to make more spoilers. Is there something else in your
Mm.
mind that you want to share?
Um. Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, I think that's all. I mean, we have been talking Supermemo for literally years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I feel like we're mostly repeating old ideas like over and over again, but maybe making new connections. But I suppose there's nothing new under the sun.
Well, I think it's different perspective. At least it's a different perspective. Even though in what's it called the essence, what we mentioned
Yeah.
was already there. It's encapsulation or encapsulated or represented in a transformative way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also the thing like it's a tool that we have used like just way too much, and it's we already incorporated on our daily basis.
Hmm.
So I kind of want to make the analogy like, okay, you're you if you are like not disabled, you're using your feet like every day to walk to some place, right?
Hmm.
If you're not like bedridden, but but you don't talk to other people about how to most efficiently use your feet. You just use them. So I mean,
Oh.
I suppose from a scientific perspective, it could be like the most efficient way of using your feet muscles, or maybe having the optimal walking, while having the optimal gait. I actually heard people like talking about the optimal gait, but it's not like a common topic, right? So I suppose that's the similar case for Supermemo and for us and other Supermemo community members. If it's a tool that is so well incorporated into our life and our philosophy has been deeply affected by it that we just sort of it's a part of us,
Hmm.
I really don't think it's that much worth mentioning, you know? And yeah, well, I suppose it could help. Mentioning those could help new people, but for us, for me at least, I don't talk to people a lot, just simply because it I don't need any sort of validation from others to know, oh, this is a very good tool. I just know it's a good tool because I'm just using it every single day. I don't need to convince people. I don't need to talk to people. I don't need to like, oh, look at this new learning philosophy I just found. Yeah, because yeah, nothing new under the sun, sort of.
Yeah. It will be the other way around. People will have to try to convince you to stop using it instead of you. Yeah, instead of you convince other people
Yeah,
to start using it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose like the adoption of new stuff, new philosophy, new tools always involve a phase where you kind of like wholeheartedly wanting to recommend this to other people.
Hmm.
I think every single one of us went through this phase. We're
Yeah.
human after all.
Absolutely. Yeah. I stopped recommending this to people, even though in some other Discord communities that people know that I'm running this channel featuring Supermemo. Most of it Supermemo is no worries. It's a complex software. Blah blah blah. Don't even try it. It's not worth it. End of the story. I'm not recommending this to you.
Mm,
I'm putting a lot of time, commitment on this
yeah.
channel, and at the same time, a random stranger, if it's not this certain kind of person, let's say, that it's likely that they will have a tons of friction and move on in a few days. So I don't even recommend that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recommend Super
Yeah.
Memo anymore. And on top of that, in most recent videos, for this particular thing, I suggest to use Anki instead. So imagine this.
Mm,
I
yeah.
mean, now that you
Anki.
mention it, yes, I'm in a different stage. Yeah, it works for me. I can choose what works and what doesn't. I make the experience my own. It works for me for everyday
Yeah.
experience. I don't have to
Yeah.
convince. I don't have to convince anyone. I still do the videos. This as a source of inspiration. In case you have friction, that's how I minimized the friction for me. The friction points for you could be different,
Mm.
but at least it's some inspiration that it gives you some I don't know source before it's too late for you.
Mm.
This you, I don't mean you, Winston. I mean the audience. And
Kind of.
if you let me do one joke, you won't be able to see it. You will see it in the video. But the best feet, how to use feet, is barefoot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's because now as we speak, I'm barefoot.
Well, I'm still wearing a slipper.
Ah, no worries, no worries.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince you to go barefoot. No worries.
No, no, no. There are like ants on the terrace. They're gonna bite my foot. So
So
yeah, if I'm going barefoot on the terrace, that would be it when I'm doing sports. Yeah. Now I'm just stationary. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
yeah, I think we covered almost. We could say we covered everything for today because I mean
Mhm.
it's incremental, but I think for today it's
Yeah.
enough. Nice. So long,
Yeah. Nice.
long life to learning, long life to incrementalism, but not necessarily long life to
Ah,
tools, because this change with time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Viva el incrementalismo.
Viva el incrementalismo.
Hello.
Yeah. Viva el rey.
Yeah.
Cool. Then nothing more
Yeah.
to add today,
Cool.
and see you incrementally.
Yeah. Incrementally goodbye.